Welcome to the Young, Dumb, and in Love podcast, where we talk about all things marriage.
Our goal is to help equip you to have a marriage that is better than you have ever imagined by sharing real-life experiences, getting into the nitty-gritty, and sharing practical ways you can start today. Let's dive in.
Well, we just got done with
goodness.
the first of many holidays. Well, I guess the second. Halloween first, then
Halloween,
Thanksgiving.
I wouldn't call it a holiday.
You're right, but
It's
it
just
is
a
a time where
day.
people get together and make a
Yeah.
big deal out of it. So,
yeah.
but Thanksgiving
Yep.
just came
We
and
hosted
gone.
for the first time.
Oh Lord,
ever.
Yes, we made way too much food.
Way too much.
Tons of leftovers.
Yep.
Most
They're
of
already
it
in the
ended up
trash, which
in
makes me
trash
sad.
because it got bad. So
No, it's just too much. And then I just think after a while, like the thought of eating Thanksgiving food makes me feel sick.
like I'm okay. I
Like
can't
I'm like,
eat it
I
anymore.
can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I got my voice back as well.
You got your voice
which
back,
is awesome.
so now not every single video on Instagram will be me talking.
Hopefully, you're the smarter one. So
No,
let's
that's
see what
not true.
happens.
But it was good. Julian's parents and grandma actually
Yes.
came from New Mexico
Yes.
and visited and stayed here with us for
Grandma is a hoot
a hoot
and a half.
But it was a good time. It was fun.
Yes.
It was fun.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
But Thanksgiving, we ate lots of
Thanksgiving,
food. We
yeah.
had lots of family, lots of
Yep.
noise.
Lots
And
of noise.
today was our first day. Just we're home by
It's literally
ourselves.
been the
Kids are
first
back
day
in school.
Weeks. We were
Yeah.
talking about this weeks because November was unexpectedly really busy. Like
The most.
we didn't really plan for it to be busy, but if you follow along at all, like I ended up listing a house out of state for a family.
Yes.
So I was traveling.
You sent me-
traveled. I traveled, came home. Our kids didn't have school. And then one of them got sick. And so then I was home. We had family in town. My family was here, then went home. Your family was here and went home.
It was just nuts.
So it was a lot. It was way more than we anticipated. But that's how life works, you know?
Yeah, that's
That's
so
why
true.
It's important, like, to have a solid partnership before that kind of
Yes.
stuff comes up.
Yes and
your
amen.
marriage, because it could have been like more rocky and stressful. But I
Yeah.
think because we, partnered together. But
Well,
yeah, it was
family
crazy.
dynamics can be so interesting,
Family
because
dynamics.
like when you're married, you
Yeah.
have your family, the people that
Yeah.
you've created a life with, and then
Yeah.
the family that comes in that you grew up with.
Yeah.
You're different, and you've changed, and
Well, you have like a
things
family of origin, which
Yeah,
is your family,
exactly. Mm-hmm.
that your parents and whoever you grew up around, and then your family, like you said, that you've built, your
Yes.
husband, wife, and your kids.
Yep.
And so that we're gonna have a quick conversation today,
Yes.
just around family dynamics,
Yes.
and especially as you already probably went through your one holiday, Thanksgiving, but as you enter into
Christmas.
all of what brings, with Christmas, and not just on Christmas Day, but all the get-togethers, the dinners, the parties, the expectations, the boundaries, just like all of it. Sometimes it's like a lot.
Yeah, it could be overwhelming.
It can be
It
overwhelming.
can be stressful. It could be one of those.
Stressful.
It's literally one of those times of the year where most families just struggle and they
It's
have
hard.
a hard time because
it can be hard.
yeah, family dynamics, because they don't.
Family
They
dynamics.
have theirs, and then people are coming in trying to tell them what to do, how to live their life, and you're like,
Yeah.
listen.
Listen.
I've been doing this for a while. We've got it. We've got a great
Yeah.
flow.
Yep.
Don't interrupt my flow.
Yeah. So just a few different things, just, as we've navigated it and as we continue. So one thing, and we talked about this today, is whenever you're going to be spending time, with family, it's really important that you and your spouse have come together and said, hey, listen, we need to show a united front. You know what I mean? Not show like it's fake, but we need to decide that whatever comes up while we're with, your family or with my family or with this family or wherever you're going to be,
Yep.
that we are united and that we are, have each other's backs.
Yes.
Because I think we were talking about this a lot of times, in general, someone may say something about your spouse behind their back to the other spouse. And
yes.
it's so important that even if you agree, like there may be times when someone, like if someone's like, well, Julian
Wow.
this, and he's not
They
there,
do
I'm
that?
gonna be like, oh yeah, he does.
They've done
No,
that?
I'm just saying no. But
I'm watching you guys.
It's so important that you come together and say, hey, you know what? Like we're united. You know what I
Yes.
mean? In this. And
100%.
even if there are things that behind closed doors, you're like, hey, I didn't like the way you handled that situation earlier. Same like with your kids, you know, you want to do your best at all times to be a united front. And then behind, like maybe later in the day, be like, hey, when you did that, like I didn't really, that's not how, you know, I didn't agree with that or whatever, and unpack it then. But yeah, having that united front.
Yeah.
And not allowing someone to say something about your spouse that is dishonoring.
Exactly. Yep. And it's going to happen. Like there's going to be people in your life who unfortunately are going to, maybe they don't like your spouse. Maybe they don't.
They don't.
Maybe they don't like your situation, how you're living your life and how you raise your kids. And, you know, there's going to be people who, especially in your family, who are going to be vocal about it. And they're going to want to give their opinion about everything. And they're going to judge you. And they're going to think this and that. And when that happens, that's when the united front comes into play, because you're going to be able to look at your spouse and you're going to know exactly what you guys are thinking, because you already know how you decided to live your life, raise your kids, and do all the things that you feel called that you're supposed to do as a family. Yeah. And then when the people come in and they begin to, you know, especially during these times, they begin to tell you how to live your life and how you should be doing things and how you should be raising your kids, how you should be eating, how you should be doing all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day, none of that's going to matter, because you guys have already communicated with each other of, okay, now we understand that there's going to be a person or people like this in our lives. And when we're around them, we can't allow them to dictate or change how we feel about each other and what we do as a family, because they're not in our household family. Right. Because when you get married, you leave and you cleave. You become a part of the person that you married, and you create your own family, your own traditions, your own things that are going to build inside of your life. And so when you build that together, have that united front, when those situations come up, you're going to be able to combat them so much better, because you're going to understand each other. I can look at Brittany from across the room and she can see my eyes and she'll know exactly what's happening. Yeah. And then later I just go, hey, just so you know, this is what's happening. This is what I said. The communication is just strong, and we just continue to keep the communication in everything that we do.
Well, and I think too, like, and we both sets of our parents are amazing, and we're so grateful, and we love the time we get to spend with them, you know, but we've also observed different circumstances, different people, different relationship dynamics. And I think a lot of times if you even allow a little bit of dishonor to come towards your spouse, or like maybe you say something, then it's really easy. Like we were talking about this earlier too, like it's like a door, you know, like if you allow that door to crack a little bit and you give room for someone to start speaking negatively about your life or your spouse or how you've chosen to do things, they're just going to kind of keep cracking that door open until they push it wide open and they just flood in with all of their thoughts and stuff like that. And you see that a lot during the holidays, because it's people you maybe don't see all the time, for sure, you know? And so it's so important to have those things established, and why we talk about boundaries and values and guardrails, because if you have those, then when those conversations come up, you have an easy answer. Well, this is what we do in our home. This is how we like to operate. This is what, you know, our values are, whatever that looks like. This is what we like to do for our kids. Because really nobody knows your family like you do. Like no one knows me and you and our two daughters like we do. Yeah. You know, and it can be easy to start to even doubt yourself. Like, am I doing it right? Maybe I'm wrong. And we talked about this. There is room for someone to speak into your life. For sure. But when and how they do it makes a huge difference in how it's received.
That's right.
You know? Do you want to speak on that? Well,
like the thing is like when you make, you said when you make room for it, like when you speak into someone's life, you really should only be under the circumstance of them making room and inviting you in to speak into their life. And there's going to be situations where obviously if someone's like off the rails and they're going, they're, you know, analogy, they're on the bridge ready to jump, I'm going to go and do whatever I can to stop that. When it's just normal life and they don't like, you know, the way that we live our life or whatever, they don't have the place or room. And here's what I've learned. And this is where family dynamics can get kind of hard, because you do love your family and you don't want to hurt their feelings. And that's the honest to God truth, right? Like you're like, I don't want them to think I'm hate them or anything, because that's not the case at all whatsoever. But what I've learned is that honesty and truth telling from the very front stops anything that could go south, and so no matter what, and you don't have to be rude about it, nothing like that. But if someone's coming into your life and they're speaking into your life and you didn't invite that, the best thing for you to do is that, hey, I totally hear what you're saying, but that's not how we chose to live our lives. And this is what we are going to do as a family, because this is what we've agreed on. Me and my wife and my kids, this is what we do. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry, but this isn't your life to tell me how to live. And that can sound like, oh my gosh, I would never talk to so-and-so that way, or I would never say that. But at the end of the day, man, like I would way rather just tell you the truth of what it is and nip it in the bud before it even starts, because if I don't, then it is going to grow. It's going to be that door that opens.
Yeah. Well, and it's so important because like you want to value those who've gone before you.
100%.
And there is that level of honoring too, and listening and being like, okay, but it's just finding that line of like, that's how you did that. That's not how we're choosing to do it, And we talked about this too. Like, think of the times, and this is for anybody, this isn't, honestly, a lot of this experience isn't even our own. It's us being able to, we've been in rooms or spaces where this has happened before, holidays or not. But when someone has come to you and they want to maybe give you advice or whatever, how do you receive that advice when it comes from a place of negativity? Or it comes from a place of judgment, being judgmental? Mm-hmm. Like if someone comes to you and you know that they truly love you, they truly are looking out for you, and they really want the best for you and your family, it's so much easier to receive that than when they're just, maybe you are like in that moment, you're feeling judged, you're feeling uncomfortable or awkward, and you're like, this is not helping me like at all.
Yeah.
But it's like, what do you receive? Like, what are you more likely to receive?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm way more likely to receive positive.
Well, and I think that's that's the obvious
like
answer,
if you're
right?
negative, like I don't want to hear it.
How often do we even have like negative criticism or feedback towards our own family members or towards each other or towards our kids? But it's like, you learn best, and the lessons you've learned in life that you've really taken and been like, wow, that was really good, came from someone that you respected and you loved and that you knew loved you, not out of anger or frustration or bitterness. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like love and care and kindness are what changes anybody.
For sure.
Helps. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's very rare that negativity comes in and actually makes us better.
Yeah.
In fact, I can't think of very many times that it does, and so it's like, yes, you can have tough conversations. They just have to be done in love and at the right time. Mm-hmm. Like, is this the right time or space for this conversation? You know what I mean? And I think too, like we always talk about, you can have any tough conversation if you do it well and if you really think about it before you do it. Don't do it in the heat of the moment. Don't react in the heat of the moment, Yeah.
Well, just being thoughtful, like you said, just take a moment to think about what you're actually going to say and how you're going to respond. And if you even really need to, like, I think that's the other thing too. Do I really need to say anything right now? Or is it going to just it's going to add fuel to the fire, And so for us, I've always just chosen like, okay, like I'm only going to speak when I need to, and for me, that saved me a lot of heartache and fights and, and I obviously with when it comes to me and you, like we'll talk about everything, and we'll make sure that there's conversation about everything that happens in our family. But if there's someone like later in our family, aunt, uncle, brother, sister, whatever, any of those, and there's something going on, like if I don't really have a place to say anything to them, like I'm kind of just going to be like, hey, I love you. And
like I'm here
and I'm here for you. If you need someone to talk to, 100%. Like I'm totally here for you. If you need advice, I will totally help you in any way that I can. But if not, like I'm not going to force myself on that, on that situation. Yeah. And I feel like it's kept me pretty safe in a way of like not getting in people's way just the way I don't want them to get in my way,
It's true because I think if you really thought about it, like we all could have an opinion on the way other people are living their lives.
Absolutely.
Like we all have our preferred way, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's someone else's preferred way. And I think it's really easy to be like, well, this is what worked for me, so this is what will work for them. So I'm just going to tell them. But that doesn't always obviously work.
Yeah.
And, we always talk about like making deposits so that you can make a withdrawal. And I don't even want to say that it's necessarily a withdrawal to like share with someone like your observation.
Yeah.
But I think you have to be really careful in general. Like, have I built up enough of like
trust,
like money in the bank? You know what I mean? Have I deposited in this person? Have I spoken life over them before? Do they know how much I love them? Have I given enough for that so that when I say this thing that could maybe not be necessarily something they want to hear, it's not such a deposit that I overdraw the account. You know what I mean? And then it becomes like negative. And you know, what's my heart towards that person? And that's the same with your spouse, you know? And I think too, when you're with your family, it's easy to maybe like see things in your spouse that bother you because you're like, oh gosh, they're going to notice that about my spouse, or they're going to think that about my spouse, or they're going to think that about my marriage. Yeah. But we talked about this today too, is like whatever you focus on grows, right? Yeah. Like if you're focusing on the negative things your spouse does, you see all the negative things your spouse does.
For sure.
If you're focusing on what they don't do and how they do this and how they do that and just picking it apart, like it's easy to find those things.
Yeah.
Like they're all
going to be highlighted.
Yeah. We're like, they do this and they do that. But if you really stop and you start focusing on the things they do well and that you love about them, those things grow. So the question is, what do you want to grow? The things that are negative or the things that are positive? Doesn't mean the negative things go away. Yeah. Like,
well, and people would argue, well, I want the negative things to grow. Like I want those to grow into better things, right?
Oh, I mean like the negative things, like that's all you see. Like if I focus on all the negative things you do, then I only see the negative things you do.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Because there might be things that you do that you will do until we die. And so I can decide whether, and I'm talking little things that really at the end of the day end up being petty.
Yeah.
But what we focus on like that, you know what I mean? And I'm saying like, Julian's not great at taking care of the yard. Like, and we know that.
I have a brown thumb, guys. I have a brown thumb.
But you know, like if I'm always constantly thinking about that, then it really bothers me rather than stopping and going, okay, so yard work is not his gifting. What are the things he is good at? And so if I focus on those things, then I become less frustrated about the yard. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like there are things I'm forgetful. I don't know. What is something that I do that bothers you? I know this is like, what do I do that bothers you?
You want me to say it right now?
I do. Say it for the people. Because I'm serious. Well, the thing because you're naturally positive. So I'm like, could you point out something I do wrong? I don't know. I forget things.
No, I mean, yeah, you definitely forget a lot of things. Very forgetful, but I think that's the ADHD right there.
Forgetful, very. But
sorry.
Anyway,
you are forgetful.
What I'm saying is what you focus on. Like when I find myself becoming frustrated with you a lot, I'm like, man, I just feel like I'm really frustrated. I try to stop. Maybe you don't know this, and think of things I really love about you. Like I'll be like, okay, he's really good at what he does and takes good care of our family. And he's really good with our daughters. And he's really kind and gentle and sweet. Like I start to literally name those things, even if it's just in my mind. So I'll like calm down the mean things. Is that weird?
No, that's great. I appreciate it.
And because I am more reactive.
Yeah.
As a personality.
Naturally. So, she's thinking about all the things she loves about me right now.
No. But it's important that, you know, we focus on the positive in our spouse and, you know.
Yeah, that's so true. But when it comes to extended family though, that's where the dynamic changes so much, you know, because the way that we work and operate with each other, if it ebbs and flows and we're very good at that and we're able to figure it out. We love each other so much that we're going to see the best in each other. But then there's people who aren't around us all the time and they can't see the best in anybody, you know? And so like, for me, I'm like, okay, so when that happens and those people come around and they start, you know, acting the way they do, how do you even respond to that? Like, what are you supposed to do? Am I supposed to just like argue and fight? And that's mostly what I see happens in families. They just argue, fight. They don't ever talk to each other again. And they just want to be done with each other. Right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like you're still family, like you are flesh and blood and there is something there that is sacred and that you would want to protect. And so for me, I'm going, okay, so when that does happen, I've learned personally, not to take everything everybody says personally, because if I do, then I'm just going to be in the nut house because it drives me nuts. Right. And so
Oh my gosh.
I've just learned that like in even just like marriage, like just don't sweat the small stuff. People are going to say things because they think they're right and they think they have the best, they think they have the right intentions and the best intentions in mind. But at the end of the day, they have no idea what's going on inside of your life, and they're just vocal and they feel like they should tell everybody how they should live their life. Yeah. And so for me, I'm going, okay, when we're around family and they start doing that, I just can't take it too serious. I can't take it too personal. I'm confident in who I am as a man and as a husband and as a father. And no matter what anybody says, it won't hurt me because I've chosen to not believe the things that people might say to me of how I should live or what I should be doing with my life. Because I'm confident in that, you know? And so if for me, like for anybody else out there, if that's something that you're going through, like at the end of the day, just be confident in your life that you're living and don't allow other people to dictate how you feel and what's going on and how you decide to live your life. And you know, like different generations, some generations, they do this and they do that. This is the way I was raised. This is how I raised my kids. And I'm like, that's not how I raised my kids. Yeah. We're doing it differently because that's what we've chosen to do. And while this and that, I'm like, here, at the end of the day, you lived your life your way. I'm going to live it the way that I feel that God has called me to live mine.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, you can have those conversations with honor and kindness and then allow them to react however they want to take it or, you know, however. But, you know, like you said, not taking it personal, but it's really, I mean, it's hard because I mean, here's the thing. We want our parents and our grandparents, our families, to like, a lot of times we want them to be proud of us. Like it's important to
100%.
us that, like we want them to be proud of us and to think like, wow, they're doing a good job. And so sometimes those things can really hurt. But like you said, if you're confident in what you're doing, then you're just like, you know what, I can't take that personal. I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and not that we're perfect because we're not, you know, but we know, like I said, we know one another and we know our kids better than anyone else. So it's like anyone can speak into it and be like, hey, what about this? Or you should do this or whatever. And not that that's even what happens, but you have to decide what's best for your family, you know, and
so true.
And for your kids. And it's hard because it's like, if you are insecure in that stuff, which I think we all can be and have been at some point, in our marriage or in our parenting, it can make it come out more because you're already a little insecure about it. You're like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not doing the right thing.
For sure.
But really that's something to go back to your spouse and work through, you know, and I think you can say like, hey, you know what? Thanks for your opinion. This is how we've chosen to do it, but I'll take it under advisement. You know, like I'll take it under advisement.
Yes.
Or you can just say like, hey, we're not going to do that. But I think too, and you know, then we'll wrap this up because this is a mini one. We'll probably talk about it some more, but it's important, I totally lost my train of thought because I checked to see what time it was. Hold on. I'll see if I can get it back, but there's a chance.
This doesn't drive me nuts about you. I think it's hilarious.
It's actually super frustrating. So if you are like me, I get it. It's hard.
Yeah. Mid conversation. Like,
like it literally bounces out of my
brain. Don't know what I was saying.
Gone. I really think it might be gone.
Well, maybe it'll come back and we can talk about it in the next one.
I really don't remember.
That's so funny.
No, that's not funny. I don't know why. That's not funny at all. But we're going to talk about this some more. We had to do a mini episode this week because,
just time.
Like we said, time is time, you know, but.
Yes. Well, we really appreciate you guys. And we really hope that you do enjoy your holidays, that you do bring your family in, and you guys do love each other, and that you're there for each other. And yes, things might be a little hard sometimes. People might say things they probably shouldn't say that could hurt your feelings. But at the end of the day, like, just be confident in who you are as a husband, as a wife, as a mom, as a dad, and just trust who you are. Trust the Lord in everything that you do. Yeah. And don't allow people to ruin your holidays, because that's not what this is for. Just be confident and just give everything that you have to your immediate family, and trust that it's going to be okay. And you're going to wake up Christmas morning and you're going to be like, this is so good. And it doesn't matter what anybody said, because we're doing so good. But we love you guys, and we're so grateful that you are listening. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're at, also on YouTube, and we hope to see you soon.